Maria Alvarez stared at her hotel wall, frozen in disbelief and rage. Bright red spray paint dripped down the brick like an open wound. Her hands trembled as she gripped the morning delivery clipboard tightly. Just yesterday this small roadside hotel had been her late father's pride. He built it brick by brick after immigrating from Mexico decades ago. Now teenagers laughed nearby, spray cans rattling with careless destructive glee. Their mother stood watching with an unsettling proud smile. She ran the homeowners association with an iron, unforgiving. Maria had moved into management only 3 months before this nightmare began. Karen had hated her instantly, calling her hotel an eyesore and nuisance. She filed complaint after complaint about parking, signage. None of it was true. But truth never mattered to Karen Whitfield. Power mattered. And humiliating newcomers mattered most of all. Maria swallowed hard, forcing herself to walk toward the smirking woman. "Excuse me. Your children just destroyed my family's property completely." Karen barely glanced over, sipping coffee from a designer travel mug. "Maybe if your hotel followed our community standards this wouldn't happen," she said. Maria's chest tightened with disbelief at such casual, cruel indifference. This was not a code violation. This was deliberate criminal vandalism happening live. A nearby neighbor stepped closer, holding up his phone camera. "I'm recording everything. Karen. This isn't going away quietly." Karen's smile faltered slightly, replaced by a flicker of irritation and panic. Her son smirked, spraying one final streak across the hotel's front window. Maria's eyes burned with tears she desperately refused to let fall. She thought of her father's calloused hands laying every single brick. He had crossed a border with nothing but hope and determination. This hotel was his legacy, his proof that hard work mattered deeply. Karen's smug entitlement felt like spitting directly on his hard-earned memory. Maria pulled out her phone and dialed the local police department immediately. Within minutes a patrol car rolled slowly into the gravel parking lot. Officer Daniels stepped out, surveying the damage with a grim, serious expression. Karen straightened her blazer, suddenly composed, ready to charm her way out. "Officer, this is simply a misunderstanding between neighbors." "Surely." Officer Daniels looked at the spray-painted slurs covering the hotel wall. "Ma'am. Vandalism. Not a simple misunderstanding at all." Karen's children shuffled nervously, suddenly aware of consequences finally catching up. Maria felt a small spark of hope ignite within her exhausted chest. Tom handed his recorded video directly to the officer without any hesitation. "This isn't the first time Karen has harassed minority business owners here," he said. Officer Daniels nodded grimly, already familiar with previous noise complaint reports. Karen's confident mask cracked slightly, revealing genuine worry beneath the surface. Maria realized this moment could finally turn the tide against years of abuse. She thought about every late night spent defending her father's beloved hotel. She thought about every unfair fine disguised as legitimate community regulation enforcement. Tonight she would not back down from Karen Whitfield's relentless campaign of hatred. Tonight she would fight back with everything her father had taught her. Justice. belongs to those brave enough to demand it loudly. Maria straightened her shoulders, watching officers separate the frightened, guilty teenagers. She already knew her next move required more than just a police report. She needed receipts, repair estimates, and a lawyer willing to fight powerful people. This was no longer about one spray-painted wall or broken pride. This was about reclaiming dignity stolen by someone drunk on petty authority. As the patrol car lights flashed red against the damaged brick wall, Maria whispered a quiet promise to her father's framed photograph inside. "We are not done fighting, Papa. Yet." The following morning Maria sat across from a stern-looking contractor. He surveyed the damage, shaking his head at the extensive vandalism repairs needed. "This isn't just paint, ma'am," pointing toward cracked support brick. "Someone used something heavier than spray cans against this exterior wall section." Maria's stomach dropped as she remembered hearing a loud crash that night. The estimate total made her breath catch somewhere deep inside her throat. $150,000 in structural and cosmetic repair costs combined. She thought of her savings, her loans, fund. This wasn't just personal anymore. This threatened everything she had worked toward. Tom stopped by later carrying a folder thick with neighborhood complaint records. "I did some digging," he said, repeatedly. Apparently 3 other families had quietly settled disputes after similar intimidation campaigns. They all left town rather than fight someone so deeply entrenched locally. Maria felt anger replace her fear, hardening into something sharp and focused. She wasn't going anywhere. Not after everything her family had already sacrificed. That afternoon she visited attorney Janelle Carter, recommended by a hotel guest. Janelle listened carefully, flipping through photos and the contractor's detailed estimate. "This is solid. Property damage, harassment. We can build a real case here." Maria exhaled shakily, relief mixing with nervous anticipation about the road ahead. Meanwhile across town Karen Whitfield paced inside her immaculately decorated kitchen. Her husband Richard stared blankly at his phone, avoiding her frustrated gaze. "The neighbors are talking, Karen. This looks really bad." Karen scoffed. Dismissive irritation. "I run this community," she snapped. "Around here." But something had shifted. Something she couldn't fully control or intimidate away. Other homeowners began whispering about her selective enforcement of community rules. A young immigrant family, a disabled veteran, all targeted under flimsy pretenses. Karen had always relied on fear keeping everyone silently compliant and obedient. Now Maria's lawsuit threatened to expose years of quiet, unchecked abuse. Back at the hotel, Maria received an unexpected visit from Mr. Donovan. Once stayed during his recovery. He gripped his cane tightly, eyes filled with quiet, righteous determination. "Karen tried something similar with me last year over a flagpole," he said. "I almost gave up. But watching you fight gives me courage again." Maria felt tears prick her eyes at his unexpected, heartfelt support. Slowly, began stepping forward with their own stories. Each testimony added another crack into Karen's carefully constructed fortress of control. Janelle compiled everything into a formal complaint demanding immediate, substantial financial compensation. The lawsuit named damages, harassment, targeted behavior. News of the case spread quickly through the small, tightly connected community. Karen's smug confidence began crumbling beneath mounting public scrutiny and pressure. She tried calling board members, demanding loyalty. But support was rapidly vanishing. Her once unquestioned authority now felt fragile. Exposed. Maria stood outside her damaged hotel, watching sunset light hit scaffolding. Workers had already begun temporary repairs while the lawsuit moved forward steadily. She placed her father's old hotel key beside the legal documents nightly. Every signature felt like honoring his original immigrant dream. Tom approached quietly, holding fresh court paperwork with a hopeful, encouraging smile. Hearing set for next week, he said. Maria. She nodded, fully into focused, unstoppable resolve. The fight for justice had only just begun to truly unfold. The courtroom buzzed with quiet tension as the hearing finally began promptly. Maria sat beside Janelle, hands folded tightly atop the wooden defense table. Karen arrived late, dressed elegantly, mounting visible nervousness. Her lawyer attempted weak arguments about misunderstood teenage behavior and overreaction claims. Janelle calmly presented photographs, repair estimates, and Tom's clear video evidence. She called witness after witness, each confirming Karen's pattern of targeted harassment. Mr. Flagpole dispute despite his honorable military service. A young immigrant couple described losing their dream home under similar pressure. The judge's expression grew increasingly stern with each devastating, detailed testimony. Karen squirmed visibly, her composed mask finally beginning to completely shatter apart. Janelle then revealed financial records showing Karen profited from selective rule enforcement. She had pressured families into hiring her husband's landscaping company repeatedly. Gasps rippled through the courtroom as the corruption became publicly undeniable. Maria watched years of suppressed anger finally transform into validating public justice. The judge called for a brief recess before announcing his final decision. Maria's heart pounded as she gripped her father's old hotel key tightly. When court resumed, the judge addressed Karen directly with unmistakable disapproval. Mrs. Your conduct represents a clear, deliberate abuse of authority, he said. This court finds in favor of the plaintiff on every count presented. Karen is ordered to pay $150,000 in damages. Additionally, approval from the Homeowners Association Board. Karen's face drained of color as reality finally crashed down completely. Richard sat several rows back, refusing to meet his wife's desperate gaze. Gasps and quiet applause rippled through the gallery at the stunning verdict. Maria felt tears finally fall, relief washing over her exhausted, trembling body. Tom squeezed her shoulder gently, pride evident across his relieved expression. Outside the courthouse, reporters gathered, eager for comments about the landmark case. Maria spoke clearly. Her voice steady despite months of overwhelming personal struggle. This was never just about money. It was about basic human dignity. She said, "My father built that hotel believing hard work deserves respect, not harassment. Today proves that bullies hiding behind power can still be held accountable." Weeks later the hotel reopened. Fully repaired. Brighter than it had ever looked. A small plaque near the entrance honored her father's original immigrant dream. Neighbors who once stayed silent now greeted Maria warmly. Openly. Karen faced foreclosure after failing to pay the court-ordered judgment. Her once pristine reputation crumbled entirely within the tightly knit community. She moved away quietly. Stripped of authority. Respect. Maria stood proudly beneath her hotel's newly painted, vibrant welcoming sign. She placed her father's photograph gently behind the polished new front desk. "We did it," she whispered. "Hopeful legacy. Justice wasn't given freely. It had to be courageously fought for. Standing up against abusive power, no matter how intimidating, always remains possible. Every act of resilience plants seeds for someone else's eventual quiet courage." Maria smiled softly, knowing her father's dream now stood stronger than ever. The hotel's lights glowed warmly into the evening, symbolizing hard-earned triumph. Some battles end not just in victory, but in lasting,